Ladies and gentlemen, we are live and welcome on into Hazley's Hot Takes. I'm your host, Clint, and in today's video, we'll be previewing UFC 319's main card, which is headlined by Hamzat Chamay versus Drius du Plessis for the middleweight title of the world. And what we'll be covering in this video is we'll be covering the main card opener, which is Tim Elliott versus Kaio Sakura, working our way up the main card up until we get the main event of Drius du Plessis versus Hamzat Chamay. And breaking down our main card opener of Tim Elliott versus Kaio Sakura in the flyweight division, a 3-round bout. This one, Tim Elliott has fought a lot of people in the flyweight division. He's a veteran of the UFC. He's been around for quite a while. Kaio Sakura is making his second appearance in the UFC. His first appearance, he fought Alexandra Pantoja for the flyweight title. Kind of got manhandled in that one. Kaio Sakura has extreme power for the flyweight division, and more than likely will catch a knockout or TKO here. So not to look too deep into this one, I'm going to go with Kaio Sakura by I'm just going to say a knockout. Kaio Sakura by knockout here. I think his power is too much for Elliot. And if Elliot doesn't get this on the ground, I think he's going to really struggle here throughout. So give me Kaio Sakura by knockout. Moving on up the card, we have Cannonier versus Michael Venom Paige in the middleweight division. 185 would be the weight class, and this will be a 3-round bout. Cannonier is always an exciting fighter, but he can sometimes be susceptible to getting beat by great strikers. If anybody remembers, a couple of years ago on International Fight Week, he fought Israel Adesanya for the middleweight title, and Israel Adesanya kind of just picked him apart for 5 rounds. Got a decision victory there. And Michael Venom Paige is a very similar fighter to Israel Adesanya. Michael Venom Paige will kind of get out of dodge if you blitz him, play the low leg kick game, jabs, feints, kind of just a great point fighter. That's what he is. So for Cannonier to have a chance in this one, I will expect him to have to hit a big shot, whether it's a overhand right or maybe a body kick, something to get to slow Paige down to where he has a chance to get in and cause damage there. As far as a pick for this one, I'll go with Michael Venom Paige to win this one by decision. I expect his volume and accuracy to be on display here throughout. And I expect Cannonier to be behind on the scorecards after the first round and never make up for it, just because he's fighting such an elusive fighter. So give me Michael Venom Paige by decision. And moving up the fight card, we have a welterweight matchup that is 3 rounds between Geoff Neal and Carlos Prates. This one's going to be interesting because both are strikers. Geoff Neal is a great boxer. He's got some of the best boxing in the UFC. He's quite underrated, actually, in his boxing respects go. Carlos Prates is a well-rounded fighter, more of a kickboxer, low leg kick kind of guy, but does have power in his own right. Geoff Neal he's kind of bounced around. He'll get a winning streak and then get beat by the Ian Garys, Shavkat Rakhmonovs, those guys. Carlos Prates, kind of the same thing. He got beat by Ian Gary in a decision, 5-round decision. Almost had the crazy comeback in that fight. But this is kind of a fight between two guys that are kind of deciding the pecking order at welterweight. Both are like 11 to 13 range. Winner is obviously going to go up in ranking, and loser might fall out of the rankings or be on the 14 or 15 line there. In regards to this, though, my prediction, I'm going to go with Geoff Neal with the upset. I believe his boxing will be on display in grand fashion here. I'm going to go with a Geoff Neal TKO. I think he can get a knockdown and cause big issues for Carlos Prates, but I can also see it going the other way. I can see Carlos Prates getting a decision by just outpointing him with kickboxing and maybe even cracking him in his own right. But I'm going to go with Geoff Neal here with the upset by TKO. Moving on up the card to the co-main event of the evening, we have Lauron Murphy versus Aaron Pico in the featherweight division at 145. 3-round bout. So this co-main event's just your standard 3-round fight. This one is interesting because Lauron Murphy is 16-0. He's won multiple fights in the UFC and doesn't really have a ton of traction towards a title shot. Just because his entertainment / fighting style, it's not the most, doesn't get the most buzz or anything like that. but he gets the job done. I mean, you don't get to 16-0 without being good. So he just doesn't have that, the star power that the UFC would like for a title fight to get, the most UFC pay-per-view buys and all of that. Aaron Pico making his UFC debut from Bellator. He had an extensive career at Bellator, a very successful one at that. He's 28 years old, has fought a lot of names in Bellator, albeit it's not quite the UFC. But he is entertaining. He will get you to the ground. He can submit you. He can knock you out. He can TKO you. He's very versatile in his fighting style. But as far as a prediction on this one, I don't have a lot of confidence in this one just because I really haven't watched a ton of film on Aaron Pico, and it's also his UFC debut. I tend to shy away from guys making their UFC debut in big spots, such as a co-main event on a pay-per-view. So it gets me a little cold feet there. So if I had to make a decision here, I will go with Lauron Murphy by decision. I just think the experience on top of he's a great fighter, he'll get the job done, and he's going to force the UFC's hand one way or another to eventually put him in the title conversation. So give me Lauron Murphy by decision. And now we've reached the main event of the evening between Drius du Plessis and Hamzat Chimaev in the middleweight division. This will be a 5-round championship fight. First, we'll start with Drius du Plessis. Drius du Plessis, the current champion, he's fought a slew of great opponents, such as Sean Strickland twice, Robert Whittaker, Israel Adesanya. I mean, those are all the title fights right there that he's won. Well, Whittaker wasn't, but the other three were. So, yeah, he's a very talented middleweight. He's kind of a herky-jerky stand-up guy with weirdly good grappling and a weirdly good gas tank. It's kind of hard to really wrap your head around. I personally have underestimated him on a couple occasions just because I thought it was kind of a gimmicky style, but he's proved me wrong countless times. Drius du Plessis is an absolute unit, and he's the champ for a reason. He's like a lot of people are thinking his cardio, he's got a huge cardio advantage and maybe a better striking advantage, but I don't know. That could be 50-50 there, but definitely a huge cardio advantage over Hamzat Chimaev. Hamzat Chimaev on the other side has a wrestling advantage that is apparent. He's probably one of the best wrestlers in the UFC, up there with the likes of Islam Makhachev and the previous Habib Nurmagomedov, guys like that are just great wrestlers throughout. So if I had to break this down any further, I think that Hamzat Chimaev comes out on fire like he does every other time, tries to get the first round knockout or submission, however he wants to do it, tries to finish you in the first round. What I do like is Drius du Plessis said something interesting the other day of, I will be taken down. I'm not going to deny that. I will be taken down, but I'm not going to stay down, and you're not going to finish me when I'm down. So the way I view it is Hamzat's going to shoot for a takedown probably instantly and get Drius down, and then it's going to kind of be a scrum on the ground for a little bit. And I don't see Drius getting finished. I really don't. I think he's aware enough. He's probably practiced being on the ground for this whole training camp. So I think he's aware enough and willing enough to take that and then survive. And I think if you survive, I'm going to say if you survive the first round and maybe the first half of the second round, then we'll see the tide shift to where Drius du Plessis will have his gas tank full still and have all the stamina and cardio left. And Hamzat Chimaev, will see him in deep waters where he's never been, as this fight goes on further and further. Hamzat Chimaev he's been in a third round. I think he fought Usman to a decision, and like Gilbert Burns, stuff like that. But if this gets to the fourth or fifth round, Hamzat Chimaev has never been there, and Drius du Plessis has been there countless times. So my prediction for this middleweight championship fight will be Drius du Plessis will win this one by decision. I believe Drius du Plessis may lose the first round and a half, but I think as that second round weans towards the back half of it, I think Drius du Plessis will have a lot of momentum and will start to take the fight over round 3, 4, and 5. So give me Drius du Plessis by decision. And this wraps up episode 13 of Hazley's Hot Takes, previewing UFC 319, headlined by Hamzat Chimaev versus Drius du Plessis. Appreciate everybody for watching. Thanks for sticking with me. I know the last 3 weeks I've been kind of MIA here. I don't really want to cover baseball. There's games every day. That's too much for me to keep up with or attempt to keep up with. Heck, my fantasy baseball league, I don't even think I'll make the playoffs. So, um, but and then NASCAR, I haven't felt confident in really a format or really how to break things down fully on that. But I am confident in these UFC pay-per-view videos. I feel confident in a lot of these picks. Maybe the picks haven't been right or wrong, but I at least know enough to make predictions on that front. So sorry for the absence. Sorry that I've been gone for a little bit. I appreciate anybody that's watched. If you like, comment, subscribe, however you want to do it. I always enjoy making these, and I'm going to continue to make them. I have the 2 videos coming up that are for the Detroit Lions season preview and for the Indianapolis Colts a season preview as well. And then as the NFL season gets rolling, I will be covering those 2 teams pretty exclusively as far as week to week, games that they're playing. And that's going to keep the channel with a lot of momentum there as we head into the fall. And I could dip into college football. Don't have a college football team that I like per se, but I know a lot of people like college football and get into that throughout the weekends. But my main focus will be the NFL, the Detroit Lions and Indianapolis Colts, tracking those 2 teams and their schedules and how they're doing as far as injuries and all of that. So those are the 2 new videos coming. Also, side note, I will be on site for the UFC pay-per-view this weekend in Chicago. So if you follow me on social media, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever, if you follow me, it could be an interesting weekend to say the least, as I'll be making probably, I don't know, we'll see. I'll be on site enjoying it. I'll be there at the early prelims, maybe hang out with Theo Vaughn for all I know, but no, jokes aside, we'll be on site for UFC 319. Can't wait for that. The card's going to be good throughout. There's a lot of names that are on the prelims that I didn't even break down, such as Bobby Green and Chase Hooper and people like that. So should be a good card throughout. Once again, thanks everybody for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.